I am live. Oh man, this is gonna be quite interesting. I'm gonna wait, give some people some time to get in. This should be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Let's see. See, I'm gonna give y'all some time. All right, I got one already on. Yep, this is gonna be an interesting one, guys. I'm actually gonna enjoy this quite a bit. It's gonna be fun. All right, I got two. Oh, Vince, you want to jump on? You want to jump on? All right. Vince says he wants to jump on. At least I think that's what you mean. It's an invite to Patreon. What do you mean? For an actual Zoom chat? You guys want to do a Zoom chat about it? Okay. All right. This is funny. So how about this? Let me actually get my points out. It's gonna be real brief, and then we'll just do a dialogue on it. Just so people get a perspective from why I'm saying the things I'm saying and why this video is, in my opinion, just sad. It's just, I got my dog in the background whining, but she's so crazy. But yeah. So we got Anna in here, we got Vince in here. That's all good. That's good. So basically, I just want to start this video off by just saying this is by far the biggest sidestep I've seen yet. I'm trying to avoid addressing an issue. This is horrible, right? This is horrible. And not only did he not respond to anything in my initial video, but he also made it seem like he's ethically in the right, and at least I have the courtesy of talking about who I'm addressing, which apparently he doesn't. So, and the only reason why I'm really taking the time to address it is because he had the audacity, right, to call me a fool. Yet he's the one that's talking foolish, right? Now, I never called a name per se. I've critiqued, right? I critique his methodology. I critique the way that he moves and isn't clear, his vagueness. But I never went as far to say to anybody that he was a false prophet. I think he says some false things. I think he makes false dichotomies. He makes things either ors that aren't. I don't think he puts the full picture out there. And I think he has a lot of confusing rhetoric. But I never went as far in to say a false prophet. Now that he's saying the things he's saying, it makes me feel even more concerned about what message he's really trying to push. Because everything he said in this video, for anybody that knows and took time to watch the original video I posted, knows that the way he's presenting it is an outright lie, right? And I'm saying it out loud, Berean, you're lying. At the very least, you're not telling the whole truth, and you're not dealing with any of the information that was put out. So you can go ahead and say what you want to say, but the fact remains that you have no justification for your unethical behavior. And first and foremost, it's very, very wrong to identify someone as a co-laborer, but to avoid and to have dialogue with them or explain your actions at all. So if you feel like you don't need to, there's a serious problem with you there, right? There's a serious problem, because the fact that you think somebody ethically questioning you is going against the work of God You have no biblical precedent for that. So you're way off. So I'm gonna go through this video, and I just want to kind of break down the narrative. So I'm going to start in the beginning. I'm going to skip a little bit because this is assuming that you've already seen the video in its entirety, right? And then I'm going to jump to around about the 11-minute mark, right? And that's where it gets really interesting, because then he's really deceptive in his details. He leaves a lot of stuff out, and he doesn't say what he needs to say, okay? So I'm going to start it now, and then we're going to follow along kind of together, and I'll break a few things down as we go. First and foremost, down the channel. Is that what we say now? And at least if you're going to critique something or talk about it. Oh, you said you can't hear, Anna? Hold on a second. Let me go back. Let me check. Got you. We hear you, but not the video. Okay. Let me try it now. See this. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix this. That's weird that you can't hear it. Hold on. Yeah, I'm trying to fix it now. Got it. Okay, you can't hear the video. Just give me a second then. See if I can fix it. Go. That is strange. I don't know why I won't show that. That's crazy. I don't know why it's not working. Hold on, let me see. Just give me a second. Let me actually do it. Alright, so I got 3 people viewing in here. Then this is weird. Let's see why. I don't know why I won't do it. Let's see. There we go. Wait a second, let me turn it back on. I think I know why. See. Yeah, for some reason it's not recognizing the output. Second. Oh, hold on a second. That's why. All right, so tell me if you can hear it now.
With my co-laborer, but it's some good stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about that maybe in a day or two. You know, Professor Horn talking about.
Could you all hear that? Let me know in the chat. Perfect. All right. You heard it? Cool. All right. Okay. So I'm going to continue, and and then I'm going to add the commentary. All right, let's do it. Okay. Go back a little bit.
I said I'm gonna, just to make sure it's quiet, kind of jump on, right? You got to jump on when you can with these people. That's what I wanted to talk to my people about later on. Good to see you. Shalom, Joe's daughter. I don't know if you saw that other professor that was down the channel with my co-laborer.
All right, so let me stop it there. So I think it's interesting that he won't call me by name, right? So in every critique I've done, I've said who I was talking about and specifically what I was talking about, right? What my issues were, what I disagreed with, and why I disagreed with them. So I think it's very interesting, and to give a vague reference to the channel, I'm not saying you got to send people my way, but I'm saying if you're going to critique something, you should at least give it the attention, the source. We deal with sources. If you disagree with my critique, by all means, lead people to it. Let them decide for themselves, right? But you'll see he's going to muddy the waters. He spends about 11 minutes talking about whatever he wants to talk to, only to end up back to talking about me again. But we'll see. Just watch. It gets real interesting.
But it's some good stuff I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit about that maybe in a day or two. You know, Professor Horn talking about some stuff. We're going to get into it because, you know.
He won't even say what it is. He won't even say the name. That's just weird. That's he can call everything else out, but he won't call me out. I encourage you, Brother Berean, right? Since I don't know your actual name, I encourage you. Call me out. Call me on the carpet. If I've done something wrong, I want you to demonstrate it. Demonstrate that I did something wrong, other than and critique you ethically. Go ahead. I challenge you. I encourage it. I encourage it.
Church people are upset. Good to see you, Mellow.
So this is the issue I have. He starts off by grouping, not naming me, but grouping me with church people. I'm like, first of all, I'm upset for a very specific reason that I spent a long time detailing, right? I have a lot of substance as to why I was disappointed in his behavior and the way he handled said issue. Okay. Now, for anybody who wants to find out why, you can go look at the very first video I did. It's entitled, "Is Brother Berean Really Your Brother?" It's I think I put after that dialogue, deception, or something else. I can't remember. It was so long ago. Like, he's just now finding out about the video, apparently. But I did that a long time ago. So it is what it is. But yeah, so I'll keep going.
Church folk, they upset. They get upset quick. These Bible thumpers something else. So,
but he's a Bible thumper on the low, according to him, right? But no, it's not that people get upset quick. It's that people recognize right and wrong and how you do things, and they critique you for it. Right? So let's just call it what it is. And if I'm wrong in my analysis, then demonstrate it. Show me how I'm wrong. I challenge you. Show me how I'm wrong. Right? If you want to call me a co-laborer, or if you're just using that as a pejorative, a negative way of trying to get at me, right? If that's your goal, then that's fine. But I'm saying, you know, if you want to deal with the actual information, deal with the facts, right? Don't throw shots at me without any substantiation. Deal with the information I put out, refute it, and then move on. Reach out to me. We can talk about it.
Talking about original sources, we've been talking about getting professionals in the field to discuss it. And we've been discussing some stuff. Sister Ashmore, good to see you. But I want to talk about some promises. There's certain things.
Okay, so I want you to see how quick he moved from the topic. Okay, not to say he can't talk about other things, right? Dialogue has an organic flow to it. Got it. Well, this is my thing, right? He started talking about me without naming me, and then he goes on to address certain issues. Give me a second, because my dog's acting crazy. I'm gonna have to go get my get my kids to fix that real quick. Hold on. And you better not have Kira tied up. Yeah. Where is she untied? Because she's barking. No, untied. She's barking too much. And I'm doing something right now. I'm tired, like I said. Then clean it up. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, cool. So yeah, so again, dialogue happens naturally. I got it, but I want you to pay attention into what he's going to try and lead into.
Promised and written. I'm gonna give some folks some time to get on. All right, y'all sure y'all can hear me, right? Everything sounds good, right? No more elevator music. Yeah, that stuff had me, man. That elevator, that's how they got me. I don't know. I've been 50.
Let me skip this. This takes too long. So I'm gonna take you straight to 11 minutes in, right? I want you to pay attention real quick. So if you want to see the full context, by all means, go to his video and watch it. All right, we're gonna go right there.
Leave the book. I don't want to go too far. Gonna believe in magic and virgin birth and the Spirit of God moving and forget about Acts 2. He gonna pour out his Spirit in signs and dreams. I think the seminary trying to strip us of some stuff. And they're using some of these preachers to strip us, and these preachers out here preaching and don't believe the book. I don't want to go too far. But they don't believe the book. And they coming up, well, I got an MDiv doc. And that's another thing I said I was doing.
All right, so I see a little bit of inconsistency. Now, I can say this, right? There are secular seminaries. There are wrong teaching in seminaries. But to the degree that he quotes sources and says that we need to get experts in the field, why would you be so dismissive? Now, I'm starting to believe that he'll believe if it comes out of seminary, if it matches what he says. But if it doesn't match, then he tends to be skeptical of it, right? Now, if you go and watch his videos, he'll tell you there's 4 views on inspiration, right? Now, that's a seminary discussion, right? There's 4 views on the doctrine of inspiration. But he won't tell you that. And he holds to one of those views. And he clearly does it, right? He clearly articulates what he holds to. Now, the question is, he said there's 4 views, and he uses that as a way to give him room that there's dialogue in that area, right? But then he demonizes, to an extent, the seminary as a whole in some ways, right? Now, this is where it becomes tricky because he's intentionally vague, right? He'll cast doubt on the seminary, but draw information from it, all right? Now, anybody that knows what I do here knows that I am honest with what I believe, right? Why I believe it, and I tell you where I got it from. And I give you all the information that details it out, and I'll tell you that you're free to disagree with me. Not only that, but I give you the tools to disagree with me on, right? So I believe in true dialogue. I don't know what he's espousing. Most of his stuff is just talking. He doesn't really say where he gets all of his information from. It's usually pretty scattered, jumbled up, and mixed in with topics that aren't relevant, which happens. Got it. But I'm saying, but at least from my perspective, right? I say I hold a view, and I say you're free to disagree. And I'll give you the tools to disagree with me because I believe there's discussion to be had on these issues. So I don't know where he's coming from, but I want you to see he's going to group me in with everybody else. So he talks about not lumping all people together, right? He talks about it, but for someone who doesn't believe in it and champions dialogue, he's pretty good at doing it. That's very hypocritical. So I'm going to go on, just watch.
Talk to y'all because a lot of people, God showed me that you can do the right thing. I got a heart for God. No matter what I'm saying out here, no matter how I move out here, I got a heart for God and I got a heart for God's people. Sometimes to the extreme that I'll wild out. Y'all don't know what side I'm on, but I'll do some things to push conversation because we got to learn and we got to grow. So when we were talking, the thing that we were doing, we started off this channel. I talked about Ray Hagan and Sinetta, but I freestyle, I talked that block talk. And regular people were coming. Pastors' children that left the church said, Berean, I'm going to give you another chance. You're trying to make that Bible relevant. Thank you, Carla. We appreciate you in the super chat. And Berean, you're trying to make the Bible relevant, so I want to listen to what you got to say. A bunch of people that left the church that was fed up with the church, but was in prayer. 2-3 years in prayer, but they by themselves. They in the house. They gathering and having Bible study at work and with other people. My man said he had Bible study in the fire department in different places, but they didn't step foot in the church. So we were the people like David ran into some men when he was on the run up in the cave. We started getting together. We started having Bible study. No MDivs. We just started talking and dropping videos and we building. We coming into the cipher. Other people are coming in, oneness are coming in, or moderates are coming in, people coming into the cipher and we building. So now we doing our numbers. Now people coming on the lives. Now look like things are jumping. People looking for a platform that got MDivs that ain't never had no platform. Been in the church 20 years and they'll say a little thing here and there if the pastor's sick, but they ain't touching the mic like they feel they need to touch the mic. And they upset how the dude come on from jail and got the mic on YouTube and I don't got the mic. So they want to come in, they want to come and start causing confusion. We bind that up in the name of the Lord Jesus. I gotta give y'all some book right now. I feel real Pentecostal messing with these people. Thank you, my thoughts. We appreciate you. So there's some things that we gotta discuss. These people is working the hoodoo. These people is working the magic, and a lot of times they not the ones that you think they are. That's how the trickery gets down. It's not who you think it is, and who you think is legit ain't legit. It's so crazy. Then they start talking about the qualifications. You ain't got a 501. You ain't got an MDiv. I can help you do it like this. Give me what that other fool said. Now he got beef with me and he doing whatever he want to do. He go, give me your whole mailing list, Berean. I can help you out. Yeah, you want to build a channel. You want to do what you do.
Oh man, this was priceless, right? So I want you to pay attention to how he builds the narrative, right? And he says timelines are important, but he's not being honest. So if you go back to my video that I made, the very first one, in responding to this, I showed tons of email traffic, right? From before his channel got big, right? When he first started. Me and my wife both started with him. She found him first on Periscope, right? Long before he was this popular and big, right? So I have the email traffic showing that I participated. I have the email traffic showing that he asked me to give certain dialogue and information. I have all that email traffic and I was forthright with it. But what he does is he builds this narrative, right? He makes it seem as if all of a sudden people start popping up, start showing up out of nowhere. And that may have been some, but he paints the picture as if first I came in and I'm not one of the regular people. First of all, anybody that knows me knows I'm a regular person. I have a job. I don't have an MDiv, but I'm very keen on studying the scripture. I enjoy it. It's something that I do. And I think it's imperative for every Christian to do so. But what he does is he tells this narrative. He makes it seem like the institution is just trying to get involved in people that haven't touched the mic, right? So I'm one of those people that had left the church in a certain way. I had church just like everybody else. Bad discipline, church discipline went wrong regarding me. I felt like I was wronged. So I left that institution, right? And I sought for a different view that had a more biblical, solid church structure, right? So to make it seem as if someone who has an education isn't one of the regular guys, right? For the record, I don't have an MDiv. If you watch this video, when he first started the Patreon, he says that I'm one of the people that don't have a degree, but you know what I mean? So to group me in with that category or to make it seem as if I fit that narrative is completely untrue. Not true at all. So that's what I want you to pay attention to. But you need to keep in line the timeline. So he skipped a whole period of time before he started getting popular, right? And that's why I want you to keen in on that, right? Keen in on the fact that he didn't mention that. He made it seem as if people would just start showing up out of nowhere. Now, addressing the email list. Okay. So if anybody goes back and watches my video, they'll see that I addressed the email list. Right. I asked him for it to add them to add people to a Faith Life website. Now, if you go to my video, you'll see that I showed a picture of the Faith Life as to what it looked like. Right. And it's still there until this day. What I did was, and I'm gonna clarify, I was creating a Faith Life page so that all our discussions and studies and things like that, because that's connected to the Logos Bible software, right? He had me teach a class on it. That's in the video too. He asked me on Christmas morning, last minute, to teach a class on Logos Bible software. So I do. Now, Logos Bible software is owned by Faith Life, right? Faith Life has websites that you can build that are for free, that hold discussion groups that link with the actual Logos Bible software. So you can have discussions in there. It costs nobody anything. Now, what I did was I went and made a website for them, put his picture, tried to make it mirror everything on the actual Patreon page that he had done. And I made him an admin, and I made Thomas White an admin. I did that. Okay. So this is where it becomes kind of problematic, where his narrative is, right? So I let him know, if you know, in the email traffic, go back to my video, he acknowledged everything that I did. I said I would even add additionally with my funds, right? So that it wouldn't be a burden on anybody else. But the way he spins this, as if I was trying to build something of my own, right? And that's an issue, because it's not true. It's not true at all. The only thing I did is offer to help, and he was thankful for my help, or so he appeared to be. Now, if you go and look at that video, and I did, it'll show you that he responded to every single thing, and then all of a sudden I ended up blocked. Now, if you go to the comments of that video, and Thomas White, I'm not trying to bring you into anything, but he can attest to everything that happened because he made a comment. Okay. Thomas White was there. He's the same one who helped set up his Patreon. And the only reason why I'm bringing him out is because he was at the beginning of the thing too. He looked at my video, he saw it, and he said, it's facts. It's true. Nothing I said, I made up. It happened exactly as I said, word for word, moment for moment. And that's just the first time that he blocked me without explanation. Not to mention the second time, and I sought for dialogue and explanation, and that's in the video too. He denied discussing. Well, he didn't deny. He said he would talk about it later, but it's been a month and he's had nothing to say. So again, to come out and try and refute what I said without actually dealing with what I said, and then make it look like something that isn't what it is. You made a whole narrative. It took you 11 minutes just to get back to that, and to make it seem as if like people just started popping up out of nowhere. That's not true. That's a lie. That's a lie. It's at least vaguely deceptive, as most things. Anybody that watches that video knows. I spent a long time just detailing it, and it was ridiculous, right? Everything I said is what actually happened. Now ask him to refute it. And I want you guys to share this video, post it around, whatever. Go into the comments, blow it up, say what you got to say. I don't care. All I'm saying is, what I'm saying is actually what happened. And he hasn't provided a valid or truthful narrative to counterprove what I'm saying. In fact, he's revised it and made it so short that it's not true. Nothing he said there is true. So if you go back and watch the video and see the timelines, because he says timelines are important, you'll see that what I'm saying is actually the truth. I have the timelines. He just has things that he made up. So
No, I'm not saying he's my people, but you gotta listen, brother. Listen, I've been through many dangers, toils, and snares. I have already come. I'm gonna start singing some hymns up in this piece, messing around with y'all folk. But let me go back. I want to talk about deception, because there's a lot of deception out here, and these false prophets don't look like a false prophet. You gotta be.
look at that. Okay. Oh man. So we got 4 people in here now. All right. So, and just to get a feel for who's actually in here, You said, can we get a roll call? Vince said, can we get a roll call? That's funny. That's funny. Who do we got in the chat now? Hey, it doesn't matter to me. I encourage everybody to watch this because of the truth, right? And this is the thing. There's so much double talk in this video. False prophets this, false prophet that. It's like, no, just deal with the facts, man. And it gets better later, right? It gets better. He equates being critiqued, or it seems that he equates being critiqued as what I said about him is going against the work of God, right? And that's completely a very unbiblical way to look at it, right? Clearly, you can look in the Old Testament and the New, and there's a way to go about dealing with disputes among brothers, right? So again, go watch my video, and you can't say I didn't try to resolve it. But the only reason why I went public with it is because he had a video that he had made when he went and blocked everybody, right? A long time ago. And he criticized, without naming me again, about asking for an email list. So when he said that, I took offense to that because it characterized me in a way that's completely not true. So again, if you're going to deal with criticizing character, then do it. All my critiques are based off of the way you have behaved, right? If you behave a certain way and you demonstrate a certain thing and you say certain things that are questionable in the public, as a public figure, you deserve to be critiqued. People have a right to ask questions why you do what you do, right? You're not above being checked. You're not above being corrected. You aren't above being called out or ask questions why. So to act like it is and then do a bunch of double talk and say a bunch of things that don't add up, right? As if people aren't watching you, looking at what you're saying, and then blame it on the fact that you've been through some stuff. Brother, I don't doubt that you've been through anything, right? But when you're up there proclaiming, saying what the truth of God is, talking about deception, and then also ethically acting in ways that are questionable, you have a right to be critiqued. You have 100% right to be critiqued. So again, if you watch my video, you'll see what my critique is. It's clear. It's all based on the information. I had an issue because it seems convenient to ask people for help, right? To want them to be involved. And then when they get involved and are transparent about it, you then assume negative, negative assumptions or negative intentions about them without ever speaking to them, right? That's an issue. That's something that should be called out. And then neglecting to speak to them about it, right? When they're actively contributing, right? Actively contributing to make it seem or to mischaracterize them as if they're trying to do something that they're not and never have that dialogue with them, you deserve to be critiqued. To make assumptions like that, to be presumptuous about the character of somebody that you call a brother and who considers you a brother, and you do that, that's a problem, right? That's a problem. So I had a critique of him. Not to mention there was money involved, but I don't necessarily have beef over the money, right? I have beef over the principle. That's it. So again, go look at the video. The first one I did is Brother Berean, truly your brother. Go check it out. I'm very transparent, very clear. Everything's what happened, right? But you watch his video and he just jumbles it all together. Says almost nothing, right? There's an issue with that. There's an issue. So I'm going to keep playing it.
And what they'll tell you is when they want to push a false doctrine on you, people are trying to open you up. Y'all got to be careful of the terms of the occult. The thing that the occult people are going to do to you, they're going to tell you, oh, you too narrow-minded. Oh, because I'm going to tell y'all right now, being narrow is a good thing. The Spirit of God is telling me to tell y'all, you better stay narrow-minded. With some...
Hey, so this is my critique. So to speak on behalf of the Spirit of God is one thing, right? But did the Spirit of God clearly tell you what my intentions were? And if so, give me proof and evidence of it, right? So I laid out my case. Show me where the Spirit of God showed you that I was wrong, right? Or are you above being checked, Right? I'm gonna call you out. I want you to have a response. Respond to it. Please do. Because you said you were going to talk. You said you would do it later. That's in my video too. You said that. The question is, are you going to? Because now's a good time. It's better than any. By all means, go for it. I encourage you. I'll be right here, right? There's nothing stopping you. Say what you got to say. Deal with it. And then we'll move on.
You gotta stay narrow-minded. Good to see you, Holder. You gotta stay. Oh, I was really a virgin birth. It ain't no real miracles. You're talking about heaven. Do what you want to do. No. It seems it was appointed once unto man to die, and after that judgment. These folk, oh, you too narrow-minded. They used to believe in you come back and you keep coming back. If you don't get it right in this life, you'll come back again. No. It's some stuff we need to be narrow-minded about. Jesus and Buddha and Confucius, they ain't on the same level. Jesus is the eternal king. I'm narrow-minded about some stuff. Now I get in here and I talk that wreck and I talk my talk, but y'all better get narrow-minded. There's some stuff I'm narrow-minded about. Don't play with.
Now, I'm not sure what the connection is. What does that have to do with anything you were just talking about? Right? Being narrow-minded. Okay, who is questioning the virgin birth? What is this a response to? Right? Now, I know part of it's a response and to me, right? And I think there are some things you should be very narrow-minded about, but I don't understand what that has to do with you addressing issues or being open about certain theological issues. You're open about views of inspiration, right? You're open on other things. Who determines what to be narrowed about other than the essentials of the doctrine, right? So I'm not sure what this is a response to, but I think it's weird somebody who's responding to a critique of somebody else, grouping him with a false prophet, and then saying that they ought to be narrow-minded. Like he's telling you to be narrow-minded, but I don't know what that's getting at, right? That's a little strange. So we'll keep going.
Christ is. Don't play with this book. Now, well, we don't know if it was a virgin birth because when you go back, shut up, I'm narrow-minded. See, that some of y'all is too scared to tell folk, listen, I'm narrow-minded. Certain stuff I'm not even budging on. I'm not thinking about budging on it. And that's how we got to be. We're living in a time, I'm telling y'all right now, if y'all don't remember, if y'all don't take anything from this, y'all better take right now from this, narrow-minded is the word of the day.
So out of all the things he said, you know, if you don't get anything out of what he said, be narrow-minded. I mean, there's a whole lot of things you could have left him with, but you left him with that one. All right. So does narrow-minded lead you not to look at the evidence, at the big picture? What does that mean? I mean, what are you getting at? All right. Again, you said things. You called me a fool. Right. Now I'm calling back and I'm saying, hey, demonstrate it. I don't just say it, right? Because you're great at talking. Like that's a whole bunch of double talk, right? So if you are in fact telling the truth, or if your claims are true, demonstrate it. Go ahead. Again, I'm not saying everything here is about me, but what I am saying is he talks about things and then he goes and talks about the virgin birth. And I'm not sure what that has to do with. Nobody is denying the virgin birth that claims to be a Christian. That's authentic and genuine in the scriptures, right? That's. I mean, maybe there are. Maybe he knows some, but I don't see that in the context of this video and things he mentioned. I know he started the video addressing me and my YouTube channel without directly saying it. You know, then he mentions me in the middle, and then he's going to go on. Now he's going to go on to say some strange things. Coming up, not to mention he compares himself to the occult in certain beliefs. I'm not saying he's saying that, but he could have said it a lot clearer. He said that him and Blavatsky got some things in common. I don't know. He went on this whole mystical thing. I was like, I don't know what that has to do and with some of the claims you're making, but apparently it matters to him. So.
Narrow-minded is the word of the day. Jesus said narrow is the road. All these folk running around here talking about Christians, they can't be Christians. Not all of them. No. We are good.
Now, here's my question. Does that include you? Does it? That's a thought, right? Does that include you? Could you not be a Christian? Could you be wrong? Right? Could you be the fool? It's a question. Could you be the fool? Everything you're saying can apply to you. However, you build up the narratives to never. The only thing you say about yourself is that you're not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But you say a lot of things about a lot of other people or other beliefs. And it's, and just like Vince said, okay, he said it's an implication without pointing fingers, right? Is it implication without pointing fingers? Yeah. I don't know. That's something we got a dialogue on, because we're going to get in a Zoom just like he does. He has his talks, right? We're going to talk about actual facts, though, right? Because that's what it's all about. Now, what people don't know, right? And this is where he's way off, right? I'm going to say this. So what I did afterwards, as everyone who's a part of my Patreon knows, and people who aren't a part can attest to the fact that I have given out resources for people to research on their own, right? I've given out resources for that. For not just people who are on my Patreon, but I've extended it beyond that. And I've said they don't even have to be a part of the group. They don't have to listen to what I have to say. They don't have to be a part of anything I'm doing. There's just certain ones that I'm like, if you need it, here it is. Go and grow in the kingdom of God. And that's it, right? That's it. No strings attached. No strings attached. Which is the same intent I had when I was trying to build with him. No strings attached. Spend my own money, put my own time, be transparent and above board. What does he do? He spins the narrative, right? Everything that I've done on my channel, because I believe that we should all row in one direction, right? I believe in that. Now, everything I'm doing now is things I wanted to do with him because he already had the following. He already had the group. So there's no point in making separate things because it's not about making money. Again, if you go watch my video, you'll see that I said I wouldn't put the expense on anybody else. Wasn't trying to get on the platform and make anything of myself out of it, so I don't fit in that category. And shame on you, brother Berean, if you tried to put me in there, because it doesn't apply. And you can't fit me in that category. You can't make it seem like I'm part of the institution. I don't represent the institution. The institution is diverse. There are many institutions. What's the institution? This theological Marxist stuff that he's pushing is ridiculous. It's a bunch of foolishness because he's making a narrative and not demonstrating any of it. He says a bunch of stuff and he quotes a lot of scholars, only the ones that fit him. Which means he has his own ideas and just uses scholarship to prove it. Now, I argue the reverse. I'm saying that there are multiple views that fit within what is known as orthodoxy. I'm saying you can pick amongst them. And I let everybody know what mine is so they don't think I'm just saying stuff and I'm some rogue authority out here, right? I'm not trying to grab people in who are on the fringe and tell them my views. All I'm trying to do is equip people to learn better. Not necessarily to know certain things, but learn things better, right? To take a better approach to learning a more holistic. That's my goal. Not to sit up and listen to me talk for hours about the occult, right? When they still have to know a positive confession of their faith. Not to get off on tangents about other groups and the Hebrew Israelites and things like that, which I have my own perspectives of. And anybody who's in my Patreon knows what my perspectives are. And I even have a lot of leeway where that's concerned because I evaluate claims differently, right? So I have a different view on all that. However, I don't spend a whole lot of my time talking about all that because at the end of the day, everybody needs to know a positive confession of their faith. They need to know that what they believe and what Scripture teaches match. Right? At the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to show people. So the fact of the matter is that it's just about people learning the God that they serve better. Right? The occult stuff is cool. It has its place. But it doesn't help people know the Bible better, right? I'm not trying to push an eschatological agenda, right? Yeah, I can say it's the last days and all that stuff. I can push that, but I'm also not trying to get people wrapped up and hyper crazy about all these different things that are going on. I want them to think clearly, critically, and know the times they're in, but I want them to know why they know what times they're in. There's views that I don't care which side you fall on, as long as you know why you believe it. It's when people don't know what they believe that it becomes dangerous, right? It's when they don't know how they arrived at this knowledge or information or this doctrine, they just believe it, right? That's a problem, right? That's a problem, because how can you really grow in that area if you don't know what the really substantial portions of it are, right? You have to make sure that what you know, first of all, coincides with scripture before you start dealing with anything on the occult, right? And mysticism, because that stuff will draw you in. And I know that he has said the same thing, right? But the difference between him and I is I actually give people the resources to, whether I'm talking to them or not, whether I'm giving them information or not, they have the tools to find it on their own, right? And that's more important than people hearing me talk about stuff, right? I don't believe a platform should just be about the person speaking. I think they should be able to grow in grace and time and wisdom without you being around, right? So again, if you go back and look at my video, I showed a deep concern based off of past things that happened, i.e. certain complications, maybe disappearances, certain things fell through, and then he ends up missing. And then everyone's like, where is Berean at? And it happened again. Now, if you go look at when I actually published my video, I expressed that. I said I wanted there to be continuity and perpetuity in what he was doing. I said that for a specific reason, because how these things happen, where things come up, he runs into certain issues, it's not the first time. So I said, I want this to be able to function whether or not he's visibly around. You see what I'm saying? That's what you do when you really build something that's long lasting. It continues to work even when you're not around, right? People continue to learn, people continue to grow, people continue to get the information regardless of you spoon feeding it to them. So that was my contribution that I spent my time doing. So whatever perception he got, again, tell me if the Holy Spirit told you that. Did the Holy Spirit tell you that? Because nobody's going to believe that, because you have no justification for thinking it. So I am critiquing you 100%. You can bet it. This video, I'm saying it right now. I'm critiquing you because you can say a bunch of things, but you can't justify that. You have no justification for it. Why? To accuse me, right? To malign my character as if I did something wrong shows that you don't have all encompassing judgment of all situations, right? You're more than not just the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm going to tell you that. You're one of the dollar ones when it comes to this. You must have missed this somewhere. I'm going to say it because the way you portray yourself in this arena is very arrogant, right? As if you couldn't have possibly got it wrong, right? As if God is just speaking and downloading information into your spirit that I did something wrong. It couldn't possibly be that you misjudged it. Apparently, because you're still pumping the same narrative. You couldn't have thought it through and before you had something to say. So what does that say about you? Did God tell you to say that? Because if you say he did, you got some serious problems. Because in no way has my character ever demonstrated that. And in no way can you infer that from any of the information that I put out. So yeah, I'm going to call you out on that. Come with your information, demonstrate that you have something actually to base that on, demonstrate why you group me with false prophets, right? Because you did. You may not have called me by name, but anybody watching the video knows me. So I'm just saying. I feel so much better now.
You white racist America? No, all these folk ain't Christians. They don't put a bad name on Christianity. That's how come half of these folk, when they get on here, they want to fight against that word because that word has left a bad taste in their mouth. Because the supremacy in Christianity has been hand in hand. It's been hand in hand. We're gonna, and these are things that we got to talk about. Let me see. I just wrote a few things down here. I said I wasn't gonna be too long. I don't even got that other phone with me. I don't know where I put that. I hope I ain't leave it in the church or in the preachers in them car. What else did I put down here? We got to keep our eye on certain things. I'm going to talk the racism and that Mr. Magoo thing. I'm going to talk about that when we get on here with the Zoom. I'm going to talk about that when we get on here with the Zoom. But there's some things that we got to look at. We have to remember one thing we got to remember. A lot of people say, well, this is the last days and deception is here. One thing we got to remember is when we're dealing with what we would call deception, when we're dealing with deception, a lot of people would say, well, how can God's people? Come on, Zion, I'm talking to you. How can God's people, the body of Christ, how can God's people be so quick to fall into foolishness? First of all, we love television. But foolishness is what we've been around. I want to take y'all back to Exodus. I want to take y'all back to the children of Israel. And when they were at the foot of Mount Sinai, they was waiting for Moses. The first thing they do, they ran up on Aaron. They said, wait a minute, we don't know. And you see how folk get? Folk just got delivered. Because Rick said that they were crying out to God. They wanted to come up out of that bondage. A lot of us, we done came up out of some stuff we prayed about. Listen, I don't want to start bothering y'all. Some of y'all was in relationships and y'all wanted to come up out that relationship. Next thing you know, you run around thinking about this fool. You run around, I can't believe I'm thinking about this. You wanted to come up out of it. And he brought you out of it and you busy thinking about back in the days. And God delivered you from that thing. So the children of Israel said, we don't know what happened to this man Moses. Make us gods. Oh, that's human nature. Make us gods that we could serve them. So Aaron and it's so crazy. Aaron, the prophet, Aaron, the priest, Aaron turned around and said, give me your jewelry. And it was the men. You got to keep an eye on the brothers. And the brothers went and got all their wives' earrings and the children rings and chains and stuff. And they took it all and let him melt it up and make the golden calf. So it was crazy because Aaron knew what to do. A lot of us, we know what to do going back in the flesh and going back in that thing that has some bondage. I'm preaching myself right now. I got to get up off it because I'm finna start telling on myself. We can't go backwards. So the children of Israel wanted to go backwards. That flesh, that's what I'm talking about, that war in nature. That thing was right there. Now they're waiting for the promise to God that delivered them, but Moses taking too long. We don't know. We don't know if he dead. We don't know what happened to him. Making hasty decisions. Make us some gods. And a lot of us, we done turned around and we're God's people, we're God's children, but we done turned around and we done made us some gods. We done made us some gods out of some cars and going to the gym and our jobs. We're God's children now because they were Israel. They were called out and they were his people because of a promise from Abraham, but they made them some gods. Who's making some gods today? We got to be careful up in here. Now, I'm talking that. Y'all getting ready to say that. I just sipped the coffee. I just sipped it. That's 2 services in one day. Then they made me put on the hard shoes too. Come up to the front and put on the. So now, what is the front going to do for me? Whatever it is, listen. We got to get rid of some of these gods. And one thing I like, and then somebody said, well, you got to talk about those Pharisees and you got to talk about with the DNA where this thing came from. And I hate to publicly get out here and talk about the intertestamental period and coming out of Babylonian captivity. But to be honest, I want to help God's people. It's some nonsense, y'all. God's people, y'all do some nonsense. Y'all did some nonsense in Babylon. Some of y'all ain't come back because y'all love the world so much. And there's a lot of believers in the church like that. Y'all love the world so much. These are problems that we got. And then there's some people that came out, but when they came out, a lot of people, a lot of historians, a lot of mystics want to say they came out, and they came out with Kabbalah. Oh, they ain't had that thing before, but they came out with some Babylon. Y'all think entertainment is a little bit of it. Mystically speaking, because a lot of us are having dreams and people say, oh, forget about the dreams. Just read the book. Read the book. God is speaking to his people, his remnant through dreams. Whole things according to Ram and his Protestant interpretation of the Bible in that book, R-A-M-M. According to him in that book, that me being Pentecostal, he said, listen, I hold some things that Helen Blavatsky and the mystics and the Hermetic crowd holds. That's the mystical thing, allegorializing the Bible, but believing we can commune with the Spirit. I believe the Spirit is communing with me.
Okay, so he said it himself. Now the real question is not that he said it, but what does he mean by it? Okay, that's a very strange comparison to make. And so, again, I don't know if this is truth hidden in plain sight. Just trying to tell y'all something or not. I don't know. He's been hinting at an allegorical interpretation for a long time now. So I'm just saying, take from it what you will. I don't follow him personally, so I don't have to understand why he's saying it necessarily. But for all of you that do, you should know what he means by that. Make him explain it. I don't know. That's completely on you all. But I would just say that that's a strange connection and to make publicly. Strange connection, especially when talking about false prophets and false teaching in the occult. To make a connection between yourself and the occult is, in the context of this discussion, is quite odd. So, again, he made the connection himself. But he says he's not a Freemason or anything like that. It doesn't mean he couldn't be involved in anything else. Again, I don't know. I'm not claiming that. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying it's a strange connection to make, all right, while you're having this kind of discussion. That's all I'm saying. It's strange. And I'm almost about to wrap this up because everything that I had to address is pretty much done.
Even in my dreams, and I believe that I have proof of it within the Bible. So I got a dream. Let me give y'all an example. Mystically, I got a dream, and I'm dreaming that I'm somewhere with some dusty little kids running around a big tree. And I'm like, Lord, I don't know what this dream is.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through that whole thing. I'm going to skip past some of the stuff and make sure that I can see it.
Cool. Somebody explain that to me, Holder. Because I know what they told y'all in seminary. That ain't real stuff. How can I explain that? Forget that the occult world was studying deja vu. Forget that. We'll just put that to the side for right now because that's not real. Forget that they're studying wormholes and they're studying multiple dimension and string theory. Forget all of that stuff that they're saying, well, it could be other realms. It could be some things that we don't see with our eyes because our eyes can only see within a certain radius and a certain spectrum.
I'm going to go back. Because the audio wasn't playing. Hold on.
Know when the spirit is mystically working in you. Forget what the preacher say. Too many of y'all is trusting the preacher. And I'm going to talk about one preacher, two preacher, how many pastors you got. You got to do an inventory of the pastor. So I stuff like, my God is speaking to me. And then all of a sudden, the next Sunday or 2 Sundays later, when we go to the church, they show last year or 2 years, because they go for 2 weeks every single year for the last 10 years. They showed the last time that they went a year ago with the team from the church for the 2 weeks to go do the missionary work in Africa. What do I see but the same tree I saw in my vision? That's the occult. That's mystical. That's something. Somebody explain that to me, Holder. Because I know what they told y'all in seminary. That ain't real stuff. How can I explain that?
First of all, they don't tell people that's not true in seminary. There's certain interpretations of certain things that would say that there are people that don't hold to that happening today, but not that it can't happen. There's other interpretations that is not the normal means by which God reveals himself, right? That he does it, but in extraordinary situations. So anybody that studies theology, even a little bit, knows that there's what's known as ordinary means and extraordinary means, right? 2 different ways in which God communicates to his people. There are many schools of thought that are very conservative that will admit that there are extraordinary means, which means out of the ordinary, under extraordinary circumstances in which God will communicate that way, which means the majority of what people hear, right, is probably not true, right, as a whole, as to all the information out there. So that would be a view that says it does happen, but under certain circumstances. But how God normally communicates is through his written word, through the preaching and teaching of the word, through communion, which communicates some form of grace, mystically, right? That's mystic. Communion is mystic. People have been holding to this stuff for a long time. The real presence, right? Co-substantiation, that's mystical, right? So there are different ways in which the church has interpreted these things. There are people who believe that nothing happens in baptism, that it's just a memorial. While there's other ones that believe that something mystically happens in baptism where the Holy Spirit is involved. Some people just view different means of how God communicates mystically in different areas. Okay, and you hear feedback? Okay. How about now? Okay. So that should be good. I fixed it. I didn't realize that there was feedback on that. My apologies. So yeah, when it comes to that, when we're talking about mystically, like there's different places in which certain church and traditions put the mystic communion of God in different areas, right? It all depends on your tradition. They have different things where the mysteriousness of it, or the mysticality, however you want to word it, right, is at depends on what tradition you come from. Some view it in the revelatory gifts of the Spirit. Some view it in other ways, right? But the fact of the matter is that anytime someone engages in this narrative, you have to be careful, right? Because if anybody goes back and looks at the evidence, and Michelle, I know you watched the video, right? And if you listen to the way he argued it, right, it's crazy. Nothing that he said is true, the way he said it. So there's a huge issue there. So I find quite a bit of duplicity and contradiction when somebody says that the Spirit of God is speaking to them, but they're acting in a way that ethically contradicts it and then defends it publicly, right? A repeated mischaracterization, that's a problem. That's something that people have to look at, right? I'm saying if you're going to call somebody out, call them a fool, make them seem like they're deceptive, group them with false prophets, you better have the proof. Because it's very confusing to people who are watching as to what's actually true, right? You're talking about the Spirit of God is speaking to you mystically, validating yourself as having dreams, hearing from God personally, and grouping it in with a narrative that's not true based on the information that's presented. That's an issue. Okay. So this is why I've been critiquing him for the time that I have, right? Because there's inconsistencies in the way he presents information and the way he presents himself. And now it's very clear there's inconsistencies in the way he presents other people, right? You should not quote scholarship that just agrees with you if you're going to give people an option to dialogue, right? That's not being honest with people. That's just seeming like God mystically downloaded stuff to you and then using scholarship where it agrees and not giving people the tools and necessary resources to actually dialogue and come to the same conclusions you did, right? That's deceptive. So I have an issue with that, right? And I think everybody should, because that's not being truthful. That's not full disclosure, right? And he's just about done with it. Actually, no, I'm going to say I'm done. So it's been it's been an hour now. So I'm going to end this live. I hope it was informative. I hope it got some things across. I look forward to his response because I want to see what he has and to say. So this has been insightful. Apparently it got back to him, which is cool. There's no reason it shouldn't have. So I'm gonna hold a Zoom chat at the end if anybody wants to dialogue with it. I know that Vince in the chat is looking for it, and I don't know if Anna's gonna want to jump on. I know she'll probably pull out her Ethernet cable anyways. But yeah, I'm gonna get off here. Actually, let me do this. So I am going to go to Zoom real quick, and I am going to. I wonder if I can post this in the comments. If I can post the Zoom link in there. Hold on. Let me go here. See if I go. Yeah, I'll do this. All right. So that's the Zoom chat I'm going to have. I'm in this live, and I'm going to be in there. And anybody who wants to dialogue behind the scenes about it, just let me know, and we'll go from there. All right, that's all I get. That's all I got for you all. I'll talk to you later.